Hello all. Today we're going to go over Stuxnet, one of the world's first digital weapons. So, what the Stux? To talk about Stuxnet, I'll need to go over what led to the creation of Stuxnet. In the 1950s, Iran launched its nuclear program with the help of the United States under the Atoms for Peace program, which would limit Iran's nuclear program only for peaceful use. After the Iran Revolution in 1979, Western cooperation with Iran had ceased. Iran continued to work on its nuclear program covertly, and in the 2000s, tensions ramped up as it was uncovered that Iran was making efforts to acquire nuclear weapons. Tensions hit an all-time high when Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad confirmed that Iran had completed its goal of enriching uranium. With the fear of Iran acquiring nuclear weapons growing from the West and pressure from Israel to intervene militarily, the United States came up with an idea to slow down Iran's progression of acquiring nuclear weapons by means of a cyber attack. The project was named Operation Olympic Games, started under President George W. Bush. The cyber weapon would be a multi-nation state effort of high sophistication. They had created a multi-part malware worm that had been programmed specifically to destroy the centrifuges in Iran's Natanz fuel enrichment facility, all while remaining undetected.
I'll go over what Stuxnet is and how it worked during the first attack on the Natanz nuclear facility. The systems at Natanz were air-gapped, meaning that there was no connection to outside networks. As such, Stuxnet was most likely introduced to the target by an employee either connecting an infected USB or laptop. Stuxnet had three parts: a dynamic link library, DLL file, that executed a worm that executed the main payload of the attack, and a rootkit responsible for hiding all malicious files and processes. Stuxnet targeted programmable logic controllers, PLCs, which control industrial machines. It looked for computers using Microsoft Windows and Siemens Step 7 software. If both were found, Stuxnet introduced the rootkit onto the PLC and Step 7. The rootkit then modified the code and gave commands to speed up the centrifuges, which damaged them, all the while telling human users that everything was operating normally.
Seeing how easily the Stuxnet worm can cause damage on a large scale silently can be concerning. The network, as Chris mentioned, was air-gapped, meaning that it was not in any way connected to the internet, which to the Iranian government was plenty of security. Clearly, this wasn't the case, seeing as the worm still entered the system. An estimated 10% of the 9,000 nuclear centrifuges in Natanz were ruined, along with 200,000 computers that were simply infected with the Stuxnet worm in 14 separate Iranian facilities before it was stopped. Several steps could have prevented Stuxnet from doing what it did in Iran. Starting with whitelisting, you can control which applications and files are allowed into the network. This will prevent anything from entering the system unless it's been thoroughly examined and verified. Network segmentation and host hardening, a method of disabling unnecessary services and apps on a computer, can help prevent the virus from spreading to different areas within the facilities. Lastly, one can prevent malicious software from traveling by simply restricting user access to certain things based on what is needed and having separate authorization for corporate network credentials. Strong passwords and authentication techniques such as biometrics can greatly improve the security of these facilities and in turn stop the Stuxnet worm from ruining more centrifuges in the future.
So what have we learned today? Well, we learned a little bit about the history of Stuxnet's creation, that it was the first cyber weapon to cause real-world damage, that standard security measures could have stopped this attack, and that people are the greatest vulnerability in any system. Thank you.